My name is Lauren. After my divorce, I struggled to find a job for a long time. Either the salary was too low or the schedule wasn't satisfactory. To be honest, I was beginning to despair when I saw an ad for a secretary position at a large construction company. I had been unemployed for almost a year, my savings had run out, and I needed to provide for my 4-year-old daughter. I prepared for the interview like a wedding. I bought a new suit, had my hair done, and even a manicure. I didn't spare any money because it was a serious company and I wanted to fit in. I felt that this job could be my big break, and I was determined not to miss the opportunity. Every detail mattered, and I was going to present myself in the best light. The boss, Mr. Thomas Kingston, turned out to be a handsome man, probably in his early 40s, with gray hair on his temples and wearing an expensive suit. He radiated confidence and strength, the kind of man one notices in a crowd. His presence was commanding, and it was clear that he knew his worth and was not afraid to show it. I remember how nervous I was during the interview. My hands were shaking and my voice was breaking, but he spoke to me so calmly and even let go of a couple jokes to put me at ease. Of course, he took me to work. Later, the girls in the office told me that the previous secretaries didn't last a month. They talked about how demanding he was and how no one could meet his expectations. Mr. Kingston was known for being demanding. One secretary even cried at her desk because she couldn't handle the workload. It wasn't easy. Calls, meetings, documents, organizing business trips, but I loved it. Gradually, I got used to it. I began to notice that Mr. Kingston often lingered near me and complimented me, never vulgar, but always charming. He would tell me how well a new suit suited me or praise how well I handled customers. It made me feel good to be appreciated, especially after everything I'd been through with my ex-husband. 6 months later, he called me into his office. "Lauren Jacobs," he said, "we're very pleased with you. We want you to work with us." But then he added, "There is one condition." He looked at me, and in that moment I understood everything. To be honest, by that time I was already thinking about him myself. He was solid, intelligent, and caring, not at all like my ex. And how could I not think about him when I spent every day with a man like that? He was everything my ex-husband was not: determined, successful, and attentive. I walked out of his office that day in a fog. That night I couldn't sleep. On the one hand, he was married, and on the other hand, I was a free woman. I didn't owe anyone anything, and the extra money wouldn't hurt. I could buy something nice for my daughter, maybe even take care of myself a little better. I thought about the difficulties I was facing, the nights I went to bed thinking about how to make ends meet. By morning, I had made a decision. I arrived at his office before anyone else and simply said, "I'm in." Colleagues began to notice the change: a new car, albeit used, but it's still mine, expensive shoes, a trip to the sea. I learned to guffaw, saying, "I've been saving up." What else could I say? I couldn't admit to staying up late to finish my papers, especially when his wife was away on one of her business trips. She was a business coach and often traveled to conferences. For our meetings, Mr. Kingston rented an apartment near the office. It was beautiful, overlooking the park. He'd cook dinner, put on music, just like in the movies. He had a way of creating an atmosphere that made me feel special, like I was the only woman in the world. I felt like I was 10 years younger. I even started taking better care of myself, exercising, buying new clothes, and trying new hairstyles. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. It went on like that for about 6 months. Then, one day, his wife came into the office. She was young, beautiful, and had 2 small children, twin boys. I didn't even know he had children. Something inside me snapped. I had always known he was married, but seeing those little boys, so full of life, running around the office and hugging their daddy, it awakened something in me. They were adorable, with bright eyes and laughter that echoed through the hallways. I felt like the worst person ever. The next day I tendered my resignation. Mr. Kingston tried to talk me out of it. He offered me more money, even promised to buy me an apartment, but I had already made up my mind. I couldn't go on living like this, feeling that I was betraying not only his family, but myself as well. I got a job at a small company. The salary was less, but I slept well at night, and I was no longer ashamed to look into my daughter's eyes. She's a smart girl, understanding more than I give her credit for. I remember one night when I was putting her to bed, she looked at me and said, "Mommy, you're happier now." It broke my heart, but at the same time it gave me strength. Sometimes I see Mr. Kingston's car in town and my heart hurts a little, but that feeling goes away. I remind myself that I made the right choice. They say he's already hired a new secretary, a young and beautiful one. History repeats itself, only now without me. I wonder if she knows what she's getting into, if she feels the same trepidation and excitement that I do. I met a good man recently, a widower, a simple laborer, but honest. He doesn't wear expensive suits or drive fancy cars, but he makes me laugh and treats me with kindness. Maybe something will come out of this. He has a gentle personality and my daughter likes him too. We take walks in the park, have picnics and talk about simple things. It's not like a whirlwind romance with Mr. Kingston, but maybe that's exactly what I need. Something real, something that isn't built on secrets and lies. For the first time in a long time, I look forward to the future with hope. Maybe this is my chance at true happiness.